Welcome. Today we want to talk about classic test anxiety. This is something that's very, very common amongst so many students. I had students over the years struggle with this and even get to the point. I remember one student said, "Mr. Smith, please don't use the word test. It really freaks me out." And there's some simple steps that you can follow that can turn test taking from your worst liability to your greatest asset. I was one of those that just had anytime the word test was used, I could study and study and study. And then when that test was passed out, I'd go completely blank. I could hardly remember my name to write at the top of it. But through systematically following the steps that I'm fixing to outline, I totally turned it around and actually outperformed, actually many times surprised myself at how well I did. And so it's a great feeling. Just some simple steps that you want to follow. First off, you want to make sure that you get physiologically breathing and heart rate under control. That is absolutely the first step. It's the basic concept that you see in many stress management programs. Look, when you panic, breathing tends to increase, heart rate tends to increase, everything starts to spiral out of control, and it's actually controlling you instead of you being in control of those types of items. And so you want to be in control of your breathing. You want to be in control of your heart rate. And so physiologically, get those things in your corner. I don't care if you have to take 5 or 10 minutes and find a quiet place, or just at your desk, feet flat on the floor, arms out beside you. Get down, do 5 to 10 deep breaths. Tense and relax the major muscle groups in your body. You've got to get things physiologically where they need to be. Relaxation is the absolute key. Think about it. When you're learning to swim for the first time, the more you struggle, the more you fight it, the quicker you're going to sink. You only really began to learn to swim when you started to relax. And that's the key. It's the key to sports. It's the key to, things like running, just about anything. Coaches will tell you over and over, the mental approach, the relaxation component is absolutely critical. So get the breathing, get the heart rate under your control, visualize success. Think about being successful on that test. Verbalize success. Make positive self-statements about it. So many students, they prophesize in a negative way. And I used to have them come into class, "Well, Mr. Smith, I know I'm going to bomb this test. I know I'm going to..." Well, you're very likely to fulfill that. You got to be very careful about the words that come out of your mouth in this regard. So, you want to replace negatives with positives, irrational statements with rational statements, illogical statements with logical statements. And so, again, just to go back over these steps, physiologically get things under control, get the breathing under control, get the heart rate under control, visualize success, verbalize success. It's almost a degree of self-meditation, just a deep state of relaxation that you want to get in before the test, where you're in control of all those things. Again, they're not controlling you. You can do some practice scenarios, some practice tests, get with a partner, based on the review, they develop a test, you develop a test. Go to the class, simulate the conditions as closely as possible. Go to a vacant classroom, or maybe that classroom in between classes. Sit down, simulate the conditions, take the test. When you get to the actual test, feels like you've got one under your belt, been there, done that. And so when you get to the real thing, you're much more relaxed. Always work, as I said earlier, with multiple choice tests. Always work easy to more difficult. Find parts of that test, manage your time, but find portions that that you're more comfortable with. When you answer things that you start to relax, things start to unlock, and you start to feel a little bit better about it. And so again, relaxation is the key. Those are absolute must for getting things turned around, for test taking. If you don't get the physiological things down, you don't get the heart rate under control, the breathing under control, you don't start making positive self-statements, you don't start visualizing success, the other tips that I could provide you just aren't going to mean very much. There's no magic bullet on this. You've got to take control of it. You've got to turn negatives into positives, and you know, you've got to simulate some of this. You've got to simulate success. You've got to get more repetitions under your belt. Excellence does not happen randomly. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And so I hope these things serve you well. Thank you.